Hello, and welcome to the next episode, the next chapter, if you will, on the Master Channel. CX the producer and DJ Y Body present to you. Hi, I am DJ Y Body.
I'm CX the producer.
And let's get busy with this Master Channel. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our next guest. Man, where do I start? He is obviously a producer. He is the instructor / CEO over at Computer Music Academy. Check that out. He is a videographer, editor, bartender, guidance counselor, whatever you want to call it. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I present to you the unstoppable Tasherre Risay.
What's going on?
What's happening,
family?
Man?
What's up, Tasherre?
I'm a bartender now. I like that.
What it do, man? Glad to have
Man,
you
I'm
on,
here,
man.
yo. Man, congratulations on the show, first and foremost.
No doubt.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, man.
Hopefully, y'all see 800 episodes.
For real.
We trying to get there.
We got cats on. We got cats on your caliber, man. I think that might not be a long shot. You know what I'm saying? So
that's what's up.
Keep having guys
that's
like
what's
you.
Up.
So we basically having a conversation. We'll be asking some questions, just talking about the music. this thing of ours, both technical and
Okay.
Any way you want to put it. Let's get started, man. First question I want to ask. How did you get into production? Let's start from the beginning.
As a lot of people like myself, I was a rapper, and
that's right.
Coming up where I came up in Detroit, and I wasn't necessarily around a bunch of people who did the same thing like I am now, like with you guys. Mm-hmm. I knew I wanted to be a musician and a performer and all that kind of stuff. But the thing about it is I didn't have anybody to make beats for me. And I had music class, even though I don't know how to read music. I can't read music. I'm dyslexic when it comes to reading music. But basically what ended up is when I decided I wanted to try to rap, and this was very young, I started making my own little beats, like with the keyboard and whatnot. But as I grew, got older and got into high school, young adulthood, however, my as my lyrical skills stepped up, I started stepping up my production skills, and it just ran like that until I actually got with people that did production that I liked, and I started working with them, and I didn't have the pressure of doing the beat as well as rapping and performing. So. But that's where it all started. With a lot of people that rap and make beats, they probably did it because they didn't have too many people around them that made beats.
Right. Understandable. So, and what was your first setup? What was your first piece of gear that say, "Hey, I'm making music now"?
Oh, you talking about in general or like semi or professional?
Your very first piece of gear.
Very first piece of gear that I ever had. Oh God, and we all the same age, but this is definitely telling my age. The very first thing I ever had was a Casio SK1.
Damn. Okay.
Not the SK5, the SK1. They only
SK1.
had like the 2 seconds of sampling, and it was like a. It wasn't 49. It might have been like a 25 key joint.
All right.
And yeah, that was some classic stuff right there, bro. That was the very first piece, and I might have been. But yeah, went from there to just as I grew, just started getting better gear. So went from that to like a Casio CT something that was like a 61 or 40. It was a 61 key that I bought myself. Actually, my parents and I, we split it. We went half and half. Mm-hmm. And then I ended up picking up CX is definitely gonna know this. You might too, wide body. My first actual like real piece of gear, so to speak, was a Boss DR550.
Whoa.
Yeah, that was my first actual drum machine. So I had that. I had the Casio 61 key, and I had that running through 2 tape decks So I would like record the beat in the one deck, then play that deck over to the next deck, play a bass line, take that tape out, play that over to the next deck, play pianos or whatever. And that was the first steps into multi-tracking, even though it was all, basically 2-track. But yeah, went from that to, I ran with that through high school. And then once I started getting like real equipment, that was like in my mid-20s, early to mid-20s, where I started getting like some semi-decent equipment.
Right.
When it really started, I really started pulling some real gear. It was Roland XP50 workstation. I had the Akai S3, which was the MPC without the sequencer, basically.
Yeah.
That 2001, somebody broke in my house and took that and took all the rest of my other gear. But then from there is when I really started getting into like the all-in-one sampler. So I was working valet at the time, bust my ass for like 6 months, and I started putting my gear back together. So first thing I bought after that was Ensoniq ASRX, the black box. Then maybe like a year or so later, I had the red box. Maybe like a year or so after that, I had my first MPC 2000. And then
Jesus.
Yeah.
We asked for
and then eventually ended up on computer stuff. And that was 2005, 2006 when I started working at Guitar Center. That's when I started getting into plugins and DAWs and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, dope. Wow. We asked for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely broke it down.
Right. Wow.
The journey.
So let me ask you something. I mean, with the gear you just named, it's limitations. And did you find yourself more creative back then with that stuff than you are now?
Good question.
You had to be. I mean, like I was saying, with the tape decks, I didn't have a multi-track. I didn't have a multi-track until, like when I said the XP50 and the Akai. At that same time, I just reminded myself, I had the Roland VS840.
I remember that.
That was the first multi-track I ever owned. It wasn't the first one I used, but it was the first one I ever owned. But pretty much before that, I was doing the whole tape joint with literally two tape decks.
Wow.
So you was TDKing it up, huh?
Pretty much, man.
Yeah, I remember those days.
That's how they used to, if I'm not mistaken, that's how they used to do pause tapes back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
I used to do a lot of them back then, man. I used to do a lot of them.
I was doing them and didn't know I was doing them.
Right. Same here. And see, again, I didn't come up around people that was doing what I was doing. I mean, like video games, chicks, you know what I'm saying, that kind of stuff. But when it came down to music, I was basically about the only one that was deep in it, like I was, as far as like gear and trying to play and stuff. Now, I had cats that were around me that we all rapped, but I was the only one that did beats,
Right.
Gotcha.
So you had to be creative.
I forgot to add, ladies and gentlemen, that Tasherre is also a big gamer as well, and he was a former rapper as well. My partners. I'll change that out for the bartender. We'll slide that in there.
It's all good.
Multifaceted dude, man. He wears a lot of hats, and
absolutely.
That's why we brought him on the Master Channel, because he masters what he does.
Right.
You know?
I don't know about mastering. I'm still working on it.
Well, listen, I'll say this. One thing that I respect about you is you're polished, and you're very particular about how you present yourself and how you present yourself to the public. I always respected that about you. You're almost damn near perfect, man. I must say that. We don't know what happens behind the scenes, what you go through to perfect what you do, but when you present something, you're presenting it, and it's flawless. So I want to add that.
I appreciate that, man. I mean, and I'm assuming we'll get into that kind of stuff as far as the content creation.
Absolutely.
But the reason I even got into content creation, and we may have had this conversation before, the reason I even started like doing like tutorials and reviews and stuff like that is because at the time I didn't see anything that was worthwhile on YouTube. It was a lot of people that were putting up videos that sucked in quality, in video, in content, and I'm like, nah, man, I know I could do this.
And still today, I mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. I still
Oh, no, you
today,
good.
you know, one thing I try to watch a video on something and they don't like get to the point. You have this whole preamble, like show me the nuts and bolts and let's ride. You know, it's still, you know, you're one of the few that actually does quality work on YouTube as far as, you know, putting out tutorials as well. So, like we said, we'll get into that as we go along, man. Actually, CX, if you don't have anything, I'd like to get into the next phase.
Oh, I do have some things.
Yes, sir. Let's do it. Let's roll it, man.
He said, "Oh,
Let's go."
Now, let me say this. I remember watching Tasherre on YouTube before
this is so funny."
Yeah,
Dude, go ahead.
yeah, I remember watching him on YouTube before we even linked up or anything like that. Like I was watching Tasherre. It was only a couple. I was like Tasherre, St. Joe with sounds of gear, and those shout out to St. Joe. Him and Tasherre, they was like two of the main ones, and yeah, that basically was it.
It was us two. It was Justin Myrax.
Yeah, my fault.
Knox Square. Shout out to both of them. Well, all three of them.
No doubt.
I don't know if you remember a cat named Flux.
Yes, I do.
We know Flux.
Yeah,
Flux.
you know. So it was a few of us. We came up together, so to speak.
But you know what's crazy? We're gonna have Myrax on here.
Word.
Yeah, we'll get Myrax on here. We're gonna reach out to Joe as well, and I'm gonna holler at my boy B-Boy too, Tech.
Okay.
Shout out to Corey at B-Boy Tech.
For sure.
And that's why I said we're gonna have the masters on here. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Tasherre, you were doing some incredible videos, and also to the audience to give you a little insight and a little information. Tasherre is also product. He demos products from different companies, plugins, and hardware as well. Because you did do a tour one as well.
Yeah. Actually, I got another one that's getting ready to come out.
Yeah, he does product demos too, and for the audience as well. You guys need to, if you have any issues or anything you want to see about any, you know, different types of plugins and equipment, check his YouTube channel out too. Not just the CMA, but the other demo side as well, where he does reviews on these products too. You want to plug in your YouTube channel, both of them, not just CMA. Your other one is
Right.
Well, I started out on the Tasherre Risay music channel. That's where everything started, with the Tasherre music, and then that went to the reviews and stuff. But there is a lot of videos on there from back in the day when I first did reviews, or I'm pretty sure where CX came in and started watching me was possibly with that Renaissance.
Yeah,
it was before that.
Critique.
It was before that.
Okay.
Yep.
I remember the
But
Ram.
yeah, that's a pretty popping video. But yeah, then I moved all of that over to the Computer Music Academy channel when I started that.
Hey,
So yeah.
hey, I remember the Renaissance one. That's before I met you. That was one, a notable one. Yeah, this hours of good information on both of those channels, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you something. I don't know if I'm jumping the gun. I just want to know, and I don't know, you know, if you inside information. Is Natives Instruments planning on implementing MP3 to the next update, the 3.0 coming out?
That's a good question. That would be something you would have to ask Myrax, because I know he works directly with NI. I'm not that close, unfortunately, with people at NI, not anymore, because a lot of the people that I was cool with left. But I will say this, as somebody who's been using machines since the beginning, and just I have seen their evolution over the years and stuff that they've implemented. Yeah, I think that's coming.
So, Computer Music Academy, tell us, when did you decide to do that, and what was what did you go through as far as getting everything, getting the ball rolling, and making it a success like it is today?
You know, when I was finishing up rapping, you know, kind of being done with rapping after I did the P52, which was that was a thing where I did a song a week for an entire year. That was 08 to 09, June to June.
Wow.
And then I think it might have been 2011 officially when I was just like, all right, I'm done. Because I took the year off I was like, I'm gonna take this year off since I worked for a year. I'm gonna take a year off and come back. And I tried, and you know what? I was like, you know what? I don't think I have anything else to prove as an MC. So that's when I just kind of said, screw it. And I was working at GC at the time, and this is around the time that I was telling you earlier, where I was looking up stuff on YouTube, and I just didn't really like the tutorials that I was seeing. Like, you know, somebody there's one infamous one where a guy was talking about Reactor. I forgot which version of Reactor it was, but he had good info, but his audio was horrible, and he was playing stuff within Reactor, but then he had another beat going on in the background, and it was all distracting.
Lord,
and I'm like, come on, man,
crazy.
So it's just like, you know, it was stuff like that that said, at that point, that's when I was coming into the all of the computer music stuff. So I was like, man, I know I can do this, and that's when I started making videos on YouTube, and they started, getting some burn. And after so long, I'll just say before this, I had a separate site that was played with plugins. That was my reviews. I had a separate site for Ableton Producer and Machine Producer. And it just became a pain to maintain 3 different sites, 3 different types of content. And I said, well, why don't we just do all this together? And I wanted to do some exclusive video series where, frankly, people would have to pay for them because it'll be a subscription based thing.
Right.
So that's when I came up with the idea for CMA. And I think that I made that official probably 2013, I think, when I finally combined everything. And then what's so funny is what people know CMA for now is it didn't even start with that. It started off with a full machine series, and I was working on the Ableton series. But after a week, or maybe it was 2 after launching CMA, that's when I came up with the idea for the weekly homework assignment and podcast.
Oh, okay.
So it was 2 weeks or so, and I came up with that idea in the shower. I put it out there, and those first couple of weeks were just free weeks. You didn't have to be a subscriber, but I just took people's submissions and played them on the air in the podcast. And after that, cats started joining. We started getting the initial crew, and I don't know how long I should talk from there, but that's how everything came together.
Hey, that's just an idea in the shower. Wow.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's, what? That's when I first, seen your videos, when I went back on the machine videos way back when. Because, they were spread out for certain people. You were one of the ones I gravitated towards. You and Justin Myrax. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's when I seen it. Because remember when we first met, I was like, man, I used to watch your videos all the time.
It's so funny that people have said that to me a lot now. In recent years, people are like, yeah, I've been watching you since 2013. Like, what? I didn't even know. There's a lot of people that are at CMA now that tell me that they came in watching, the Renaissance video or the Tasherre versus Ableton video or whatever, older stuff that brought them to my channel or to my content, and then they joined CMA. It's like, dude, I had no idea.
Wow.
It's crazy.
That's
wow.
Dope.
Well, let me ask you this. What's in your signal chain right now?
Right now, Sapphire Pro 40 Focusrite. That's the main interface. That, and I got a Behringer, what is that? Ultra Voice Pro channel strip. As far as hardware, that's pretty much it.
What's up with plugin wise?
Oh,
you got to have a template of what you load up in whatever and whatever.
Okay, so here's what's probably going to blow people's minds.
This the plugin guy, CX.
Here's what's going to blow people's minds because I do have a nice amount of connections with these companies that make plugins and sounds and all this kind of stuff. To be very honest, when it comes down to like when I mix for my projects, the majority of that stuff is stock Ableton stuff.
Really?
There you go.
I would say a good 80% of it is stock Ableton stuff.
Yep.
We used to talk about that all the time. Me and you about the stock plugins at Ableton. They're good.
It's same thing with Machine. Yeah.
With Machine 2 as well.
Yeah,
Machine 2 as well.
I learned a lot from both of y'all with the Ableton as far as the effects, drum rack, shit like that.
Dude, I remember when Bezel, Wide Body first came around, and when you first came around, and we started all getting cool and whatnot, and when you started to, at least I know with Ableton, you weren't dealing with Ableton before. At least I don't think so. But you were still dealing with Machine.
Yep.
But dude, all of us got together. You, me, RTO, Wallace, a couple other people got to exchange and stuff, man. And then Wide Body just became an insane beast.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes.
I said this not too long ago. I'm like, cats like Wide Body are way better than me when it comes to making beats and getting stuff done on Machine and Push. Way better than me. Hey, I say that proudly.
I'll say this. I've watched your videos of especially I haven't caught a lot of the CMA ones. I used to catch them all the time on YouTube.
Right.
If, to the audience out there, what do you still do them on Saturdays, right?
What's that? Beats by Tasherre Live?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturdays. Yeah, we're back on that now, 7 p.m. EST. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring them back on Sundays yet. But yeah, that's the show where I do a lot of product demos.
Hey, to the audience, you definitely have to watch that because he'll actually demo the expansion packs for Machine and other ones as well, not just the native instrument ones, but you got third-party people who make expansion packs for Machine. Tasherre will actually make a beat live out of those packs, just using those packs. And a lot of times it's not just in Machine, he also does it on the Push in Ableton as well.
Yes, sir.
Now let me ask you this. What's your favorite DAW of yours?
Good question.
Are you serious?
Good question.
Favorite DAW? There's only one. Ableton Live.
Ableton
Currently
Live.
10.
Yes.
I have to be exact.
I have to ask that because a lot of us are proficient in different DAWs, and even though we're proficient in them, a lot of us still have a preference of which one we really love using, and other ones we can use. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even when you do a beat inside Machine, where you still mix it in Ableton, right?
Yeah, when it comes down to like mastering and doing the final mixings and stuff, I export everything out of Machine and mix it in Ableton.
Let me ask this: do you do basically like you'll do the foundation in Machine? You'll do like certain, like you say you have 6 groups, 6 different instruments, and you take those clips and then you put them together in Ableton, or do you put them all and track them out in Machine and then bring it over to Ableton to mix it, or do you know which one?
Yeah, I basically just excuse me. I basically just export the stems, I guess you could say, because each group or each individual sound, depending on how you export out of Machine, you can export that whole song worth out. So if it's a 2-minute 56-second song, I got, as you said, 6 groups or 6 stems that are that length, and then I can just bring them over to Ableton, drop them in, line them up where they're already going to be lined up, and then just do what I'm going to do from there. A nice amount of the work, if I'm working in Machine, a nice amount of the dynamics and stuff I've already done in Machine, as far as like, especially like with the drums. But, if I got any kind of keys or guitars or stuff like that, I bring those over to Ableton. That's when I get to open in the stock plugins. Or, like I said, it's maybe 80% of the time it's stock stuff. But then I'll break out some of the other stuff, like talking about guitars. I have no problem pulling out Guitar Rig from Native Instruments and running that through some different amps, or EQing it a certain way, getting some delay. However, that's the kind of stuff I do.
I love this shit.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
The crazy. Let me say this.
Go ahead, bro.
Crazy thing that I like seeing when you're on Push. You do the same thing in Machine too. You actually, when you're on Push, you actually make a beat and make a whole song basically within one clip. That clip channel.
Oh, you talking about like in the groups?
Yeah, you do it in groups. And when you're doing it, you do it professionally because you're doing the demo for the actual pack. But you do it in a way whereas though he turns the push into a clip launcher, basically. You know what I'm saying? And I love how you do that. That's incredible because that could also be used, you know, in a live sense. Whereas though, because some people always thinking, I need a SP404 to do the live stuff. When you're showing that you can do it from the push and from machine.
Yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of definitely Ableton, but a machine has somewhat of the same. But with Ableton, the one thing I really love about it is there's not just one way to use it. It's not just, and no offense to any other DAWs or hardware or whatever, but there's more than one way to actually make beats in Ableton. You know, Bizzle knows this. You know this, CX. Yeah. You know, you can go not clip view. You can go session view. You can go arrangement view. You can go and actually draw in the notes. You can, you know, do patterns. You can, I mean, it's so many different ways that you can get stuff done, and not just in that particular way. Like you can use virtual instruments, of course. You can just bring in some loops and put stuff together. You know, get the stretching stuff out or twisting it around or whatever. There's so many different ways, man. That's what I love about it. Right. Straight up.
I'm going to jump off topic a little bit. We're going to go to. I want to ask you this. What do you feel about today's music losing emotions as well as substance? What are your thoughts on that?
It's one of the most depressing things. I'll put it to you like this, and I'll go to my other persona, so to speak, where my gaming. I spend a lot of time on Twitch now as a streamer and as a viewer. And I go to, you know, I'm subscribed to not subscribed, but I follow a nice amount of people on there that I watch their videos. And occasionally I go to some people's videos that I don't know, constantly looking for somebody or something new. And there's a lot of, and let me say this, let me do this before I go there. When I'm playing any kind of multiplayer games on there, stuff that really I don't have to focus on story or anybody that's talking a lot or whatever. Like something like The Division or Killing Floor 2 or whatever, I actually play music while I'm playing. And that music that I'm playing is crew. So there's a lot of CX playing. There's some dirty old men. There's some, you know, everybody individually. So there's a constant playlist going of crew, and even some people that's not in the crew, like Sam Poetry. I really like his latest album. Absolutely incredible.
Dope, brother.
So shout out to him. But that being said, there's a lot of people that do stuff like that, where they just play music while they're playing Fortnite or whatever game they're playing. Doug, I go over here and some of the music that these people play, and I'm just like, oh, it's a lot of current pop, somewhat R&B music or whatever the situation may be. And the thing that's so depressing is every song sounds the same, Doug.
Right.
Like, you don't have to make music for me. I get it. I'm not your guy. I'm not your target audience. But damn, I just heard 10 songs in a row and it sounds like it's the same artist. It sounds like it's the same damn song. And it's just like, can we stop that? People act like they can't do any other kind of style, dude.
All right.
Wow. Now let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask you this. All right, I'm gonna present this to you.
Let's go.
We're giving you a credit card at B&H.
Oh. Let's go see our Jewish family.
yeah, we're going to New York on this one. We're going Fifth Avenue. Was it on Fifth Avenue?
Yeah.
Is it on Fifth?
Yeah.
I think it's on Fifth or 9th, one of them. You got $10,000 spending limit. You have to spend it on equipment. It's like Brewster's Millions. Remember Brewster's Millions, where he had to spend all that money, that $30 million. before a certain time, you got to spend that $10,000 and give us the gear list and the price of whatever you buy.
Well, see, here's where I'm gonna flip it on you, because I'm not just going to buy audio gear. I'm going to buy video gear as well.
That too, you can buy that.
So I'm coming out of there with a couple of really dope 4K or 8K cameras. Well, probably 4s if we talking. I only got 30. A couple of nice 4K cameras, maybe just one. Definitely, I got a nice computer I just built, but I will definitely go with another one and get a Threadripper system by Ryzen, water cooled, all this kind of.
You going AMD, huh?
Oh, I'm on AMD right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would definitely go Threadripper. As that. And I pretty much got everything I need, but definitely step it up with some really dope monitors, probably some Genelex or something. Go with something like that. Genelex. I got everything. That's the crazy part. But yeah, I would step it up and go with some other stuff. Like, I've been thinking about either going with that Native Instruments Complete control board or the Akai joint that does the same thing. I can't remember the name of it.
I know what you're talking about.
The advanced.
Yeah. The advanced.
Definitely go with something like that. Go with some high-end, probably Apogee gear.
Oh, you did bust the budget up right there, man. The $10,000 is almost done.
You said, is it 10?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said 30. You were talking about Brewster's Millions. But okay. So if we take it back down, I'll get me a really dope camera. I'll definitely step it up with the computer. I'll go ahead and step up my audio gear, get some nice Apogee gear. Yeah, most likely. Some software, of course, but I got all of that.
Amen
so
to that.
The Threadripper, you going 12 or 16 core?
Threadripper?
Yeah.
You gotta go 16. Why would you go if you go with a Threadripper system? And this is no offense, but my thought is this: is it only 12 and 16?
I think,
or is 12. Don't they have a lower one that's like an 8 or something?
Yeah, it's like an 8. Yeah,
it's like an 8 or a 10.
Yeah.
But if you got the money, in this case, we talking like 10 G's. Okay, you definitely go with a Threadripper 16 core, and I forgot how many threads, 32, something like that. You go ahead, because that joint is going to produce a lot of heat. You got to go with a nice water cooled system. You get you a nice case, throw you some RGB up in there.
You want to light it up, huh?
Got to get you a nice video card. You got to go with the currently the highest is the GTX 1080 Ti.
Oof.
So you go with one or two of those, maybe an SLI. Yeah.
See, that's why I like you, because you think like I do. We think about the future, whereas though you buy this computer, you will not have to buy another computer for about 7-8 years. Easily.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Easily. The Apogee, let's just say a symphony or ensemble or something like that. One of those high end ones. That's about $3,000.
Yeah, you can do that.
That's about $3,000. The computer, it ain't gonna run you that much. Probably about a good 1,500, 2,000.
Nah. If you talking about doing the stuff that I'm talking about, that'll easily put you about 5 or 6.
I'll say this. The Threadripper itself, just the processor.
That's about 15.
The processor is costly.
Yeah.
But I say just that alone, the computer and the interface is gonna cost you. Then the 4K cameras. I mean, the 4K camera for real. You got Sony cameras that was shooting 4K for a while.
It depends on where you want to go. Like this might be something y'all may be talking about for later, but I have always been able to get the most out of very little.
Right.
So I don't necessarily need a Red or a big Sony or anything like that. I would rock out with straight up like a Panasonic joint.
Mm-hmm.
That's still Sony.
Is Sony only Panasonic?
I think so.
Really?
Got something to do with Panasonic, but the Sony came out with a 4K camera a while ago. Mm-hmm. And when it first came out with it, it was like $3,000 or something. Mm-hmm. That camera has went down to like $1,000.
Yeah. See, I would definitely be in that range. I would spend maybe like a G or two on a really dope 4K joint.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about a GoPro?
I wouldn't need it though. Mm-hmm.
It's 4K.
Yeah, but my issue is I don't want to deal with the whole bug eye effect. Right. That I know not all of them do that. I don't necessarily want to deal with the bug eye effect because that's going to be your whole perception. Mm-hmm. What you see when you're editing is going to be distorted if you go that route.
Yeah,
unless you're going with that if you want to go with that effect, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But nah, I would just get, like I said, like a Lumix, a really dope Lumix, high end, whatever the highest. Like I said, about a G or two. I would do that. Especially since you sent me to B&H. It's like, shoot, why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Nah, that's the way to go.
One day I want to build a computer one day.
Hey, man. We got you.
yeah, we definitely got a lot of
resources, man. I'm good. Yeah, I'm good with y'all, man. Shit, straight up.
So,
all right, bro, you get it.
So let me ask you this other question as well, Tasherre. Who are you usually watching on YouTube?
Good question.
As far as what? Let me ask you this.
Music related, tutorials, whatever.
Well. And this is going to sound really crappy, but it's not intended to be that way. I can't allow myself to watch anybody else's tutorial content because I don't want to be influenced.
I got you.
So I do watch some occasionally, but to be very honest, that's less than 10% of my viewing. It really is. And it's been like that for quite a while. Like, you know, all of my peeps that I came up with, you know, like I said, Joe, Knock, Matt Saletti, that's people's, Flux, all the, you know, a couple other people, Justin Myrax. I used to watch their videos, but once I started my own journey into content creation, I kind of scaled back from watching at least their tutorial videos. Like Knock still to this day does the 7-minute workouts. And he does just random videos where he's just, you know, making beats. I'll watch that. But when it comes to how to do this or this is how you do this, I shy away because I never want anybody to say, "Oh, you stole my idea." "Oh, you trying to be like me?" You know, I've never been that guy. Y'all know me. Right. I've always tried to be an individual and have my own ideas, you know, and bring those to the table.
Like to. I'll bring to your attention. I was just talking about this last week. There was an interview with a certain producer. He did a roulette. Young guy. He was saying that he goes on Splice, and he
was stealing other people's sounds.
That and cutting and pasting sounds.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
That just shows you where we are right now. Right. It's a lack of integrity.
Yeah.
It's a lack of wanting to do the work yourself. As you know, as I was just talking about with my journey on gear and having so little and having to do more, you know, to get more out of it or whatever. There's a huge lack of wanting to actually put in work these days. You know, CX will tell you any day, and we've had these conversations. You know, he came up in that school, right, of producers just making their own damn sounds. Right. Yeah. You know, going through sampling records and then running them through certain filters or dynamics or whatever and making sounds. You know, and yeah, you got a bunch of plugins and sound packs and stuff like that to where you don't have to do that now, but it's getting to the point now, just as you said, with the dude with Splice, where it's, I can go take somebody's multi-track and just rip it directly out of there, put it in there, as he said, pitch it up, you know, 17% or whatever, however the hell he said it, and just put it in the track. It was just like, man, do you not want to do anything yourself?
What do you want this for? Like, I mean, obviously, probably the money, You know, they like to
That's
reverse
it.
a lot of stuff too. I mean, it's when I heard, I was like, I kind of figured that, but you know, then it made me think of who else does this that we don't know about. You know, in the game. You know, that some of our maybe favorite tracks of all times were, you know, were done that way. I think the name of the game back then was Limitations. Obviously, that limitation is no longer an issue anymore. So it's, you know, you got to do a little bit more than that just to cut and paste, man. Like,
that's crazy, man. Yeah, I saw that. I was just like, this dude is shameless.
I mean,
Yeah.
proud, like,
Right.
man.
Like, what happened to the integrity though? I get it that you may not be musically inclined, you know, classically trained or whatever.
Right.
But man, just to rip somebody else's work,
Right.
put it in yours, and you may pitch it or may not. Come on, man.
Yeah, I think the technology has allowed non-musical people to just create. You know what I'm saying? It just, and there's no knock against it. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of that has to do with the people that actually have these sites. They're content creators. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because believe me, somehow, some way, they're getting some royalties off of that stuff. I don't believe that stuff is royalty free.
Well, see, okay, this is something that I can actually speak on because I deal with a lot of these companies who make royalty free like tracks
Right.
for these expansion packs and whatnot. And there's been situations where you just spoke on it, CX, how I'm making a beat live using the sounds that's in the pack. But let's just say I play this sample out so I can figure out what I want to do with it. You know, like it's a loop. You know, I'll actually go through and chop the loops like I would a regular sample. So I'm sitting there listening to the loop, and it's maybe 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, I know what I can do with that. Then I'll pull it onto the pads, chop it up, and go about my business. Well, I've actually gotten copyright claims on my videos because that 30 seconds played out, but it's not from the company who made the content. It's from some idiot that did exactly what you were just talking about. Just took it out of the pack, put it on his beat, maybe put some drums on it, and that was it.
Wow.
And then he copyrighted it.
Well, again, you can't really copyright it. It's with YouTube, it's a copyright bot, so to speak, that's listening and watching every video, and is looking for, you know, like if you put a 30-second clip of a TV show or a movie or whatever, it looks for the video if it recognizes it, and if, let's say, like Universal Studios registered it, oh, this is Universal stuff. Okay, cool. Let me yank this monetization and give it to them. Of course, the person that made the video can always dispute the claim.
Right.
It does the same thing for the audio as well. If somebody has already registered, not necessarily that they have a copyright, but if they registered with that with the Content ID service, it's going to come up, oh, you're using their content. Okay, we got to go ahead and mark this.
Damn.
I've won every single one of them.
Right.
Because it's like you can't do royalty free. You can't. The only person that can claim copyright on a royalty free product, if they choose, is the person that makes it. Period. So in the case like Patch Banks, which I've done a nice amount of their videos with them. Shout out to my guy that runs it. I've talked to him about it, and he said there's been several times where he had done something with his own music that he created in the pack, and somebody else tried to claim it.
Wow.
Damn.
It's like, come on, yo. That's not even real life.
Got Jay Bishop.
Yeah. That's insane, man.
Yeah, that is.
Wow.
Wow.
So yeah, but no, like I said, the only people that can really claim that is the people who actually made it.
Okay.
So I've only, so to speak, I've only lost one case, but that wasn't anything. I got it out of there.
Wow.
That's the only.
Yeah, bruh. Welcome to 2018, bruh.
It's complicated.
Right. It just goes back to being lazy, man. I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
All three of us on this panel, we some choppers.
No doubt.
Yeah.
We know how important it is. That's how hip hop started. That's what they were doing in the 80s and the early 90s. You know, that the people that pioneered this stuff is taking this stuff and rearranging it, so to speak, so it does not sound like the original, even though there's noticeable pieces of the original in there.
Yep.
But it's so they don't have to pay copyright. But even more important, it's about being creative.
That's right.
When I chop samples, I'm not necessarily chopping this sample because it's James Brown. I'm chopping this sample because it got some dope sounds in here.
Yep.
I'm gonna rearrange those notes and make something entirely different. That's how I get down. I know that's how y'all get down.
And
of course.
The audience, those of you that are wondering that, there you go. Say that this thing has been my comfort zone. Has been my stress healer. I think that everyone should have a music set up.
Hold on. It's an income stream too, bro. You got a project out. You got more stuff coming.
No doubt. That too. It's everything. It's all in one. I think that everyone should have a music set up in their house. I think everyone should have a lab in their house. I look at people sideways like, you don't got no kind of, but it's a beautiful thing, man. I'm glad to be a part of this, man. I'm glad to be surrounded by people that share the same love that I share and we're like-minded people, man. I think it's a real, not everyone gets this opportunity, man, to be around people like that. I was basically shared this by myself for a lot of years. People didn't understand anything about plug-in VSTs and shit like that. So it's a great thing. I'm sorry, girl. Sorry.
So let me ask you this, Tasherre. Let's talk about CMA real quick as well. Explain to everybody what CMA is.
It's cool that you asked that because I wanted to comment. I wanted to respond to something that Bizzle just said as far as being alone and not having anywhere or anybody to kind of consult with or talk about when it comes to plugins or anything like that. I know now we got social media, we got YouTube and all that, but that was actually one of the inspirations behind creating CMA. CMA is a tutorial / community website.
All right.
And as y'all have covered, I do product demos, I do reviews, I do tutorials. I've been really working hard on trying to get new full courses on like Ableton and Machine and certain techniques of how to do things. But as we talked about earlier, now the most famous thing about CMA is the weekly homework assignment and podcast.
Right.
Yes.
And that's what brings people to CMA to actually get in that. And that's something I developed, as I said, I had an idea in the shower to kind of challenge people on a weekly basis. Mm-hmm. So the WHA or the weekly homework assignment, excuse me, every Sunday I send out an assignment, make a beat that sounds like this, use this, don't do this, so on and so forth. And you have 7 days to return a finished product. And then on that comes back on the next Sunday, and I do the podcast live every Tuesday, playing those submissions that I got from the week before. Right. And we're now in our 6th year, and it's very cool. We're actually about to hit episode 200. I'm very happy about that.
Congratulations on that.
Thank
congrats.
Thank you. But what has happened is that is kind of the biggest recruiting tool, is that. And then people get over there and, they see the other stuff I do as far as the reviews and tutorials and stuff like that, and stuff that I do have member only at CMA. But I think the most important part of CMA has nothing to do with me. It's the community. Yes. It's we're all a clique. And, I know CX has never been a member of CMA, but he's family.
Right.
And I'm always promoting it.
Exactly. I appreciate that. But, people get over there and then they see the kind of love and support and respect that we have for each other as musicians, and that's like the coolest thing because, again, CX has said it. I've said it. Wide Body has said it. We all kind of came up together. I mean, we all kind of came up on our own, doing this on our own, and then eventually ran into other people that was doing it. Right. That's the most important part to me because, talking about why music is in the state that it is today is because a lot of people don't have anybody around them to say that's good or no, pull that back because that kind of sucks.
Right.
And that's one thing that y'all have seen from me. I'm not necessarily the person that's going to down talk something. I'm not going to be negative when I'm really doing my best to give real good critiques.
Right.
If I say, well, that didn't work, it's not me dissing you, it's not me dissing the song, it's me saying, go back, try this. Maybe go about it this way, and then that'll make it a little bit better. And that's the difference between what I do and what a lot of other people have done. Because there's podcasts like mine where, somebody just sends in beats and somebody sits there and supposedly analyzes and critiques them, but it's really just them to get views and clown people and all that. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So, I'm nah. That's not good business right there. You can only go so far with that, trying to clown people, because you're gonna mess around and catch the wrong one.
Right. Outside. Go ahead, bro.
I will say this. When I would watch your Jones on YouTube, when you were doing them on Saturday, like I watch a lot of podcasts. I watch Corey, B-Boy Tech, their podcast as well. But when I watch your podcast, and it's something about your podcast that it makes me get on my machine and start working at the same time while I'm watching you. And it's like damn, Tasherre making me want to make a beat. And then next thing,
well, you're talking about the live, the demo show,
the demo shows. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
When you do the demo shows, and it makes me want to make a beat. And while I'm watching you do the demo and make a beat, next thing you know, I'm making the beat at the same damn tempo that you made the beat at.
So what's funny about you telling me this? So I forgot how long ago this was. Let's say this was fall of last year. Mav was over your house, and I was on. And he told me that. He was like, man, I was over CX's house and we were getting ready to work on something. And he just put your joint on. He's like, yeah, I got to have this on real quick. Then in the process, you were working on whatever y'all were getting ready to work on.
Right.
He said that blew his mind.
Right. Right. I mean, I watch all y'all. You know what I'm saying? I watch all y'all. Whoever. It's just that you were putting it out there more prevalent than others because you had yours was cemented every Saturday. It's kind of hard to catch a live stream from any of us because any of us could do a live stream at a random time where we're not able to watch it.
Right.
But I know Saturday when that was coming on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And it's back. I took a couple months off because I had to. I was dealing. I'll go ahead and say this. I was dealing with a lot of depression and stress early part of the year, and that just screwed with me creatively. And I'm an entertainer. I'm a showman. Y'all know me. Y'all know how I get down. And when I get in front of the mic, I get in front of the camera. I'm going to put on a show, no matter what's going on in the background, so to speak.
Right.
So when all of that was going down with me, it was like, I know I can't deliver right now. It's pointless in me doing the show. And that goes back to me always trying to put out quality content, at least trying to. I don't know if I always succeed, but I know what I like to see when I watch videos. And that's the standard or guideline that I always try to go by.
Right.
So again, that's one of the reasons why I had took my live shows away for a little bit, because I just didn't feel like I was doing what I should be doing creatively. And I know, and this is nothing arrogant at all, I know there's a lot of people that watch me and they tell me they are inspired by what I do or whatever. Damn. That's a lot of weight to have on one's shoulders. Damn. That being said, I'm not going to put out anything that I don't feel and potentially screw them up. That's how I look at it. So I did not cancel the show, but I didn't do it for a couple of months, but we did just start back last week. So I'm happy to say that. And then I started doing the late night show too. I really enjoy that.
What are the times? The audience.
So BBT Live or Beats by Tasherre Live is Saturday, 7 p.m. EST. Sundays, if it comes back, is going to be on 4 p.m. EST if I do it on Sundays. But I've been doing Late Night with Tasherre Risay on Sundays, and that's been midnight EST. And Late Night is just, that was one thing I feel like I was getting into just a formulaic kind of thing where I was constantly doing the same kind of thing, only making, not necessarily making the same kind of music, but it was just the same steps. And that's why I got the BBT Live, where it's just product demos and me making stuff out of the products that I'm using or demonstrating. But Late Night with Tasherre Risay is me when I'm doing my thing, and I don't have any restrictions. I can use whatever I want. I can sit here and chop samples for 2 hours if I want to.
Right.
So so that's been going well. The last couple episodes are really dope. If you ask me.
Hey, you mean at this one thing I noticed, and a lot of people, do you ever notice that a lot of us that do what we do it like early in the morning? I know a lot of us create in the mornings. Like this is like our prime time right now. Like right now.
Yep.
That's crazy.
You know why? Creative people usually are very creative at wee hours in the morning because there's nothing going on.
Yep.
There's no interference.
Yep.
Nobody's really calling you 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
True.
Better not.
True.
Nobody's knocking on the door.
Better not.
Phone should not be ringing no 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
Well, even beyond that, we all have children.
That's true.
And they're asleep. You know what I'm saying?
They should.
I know Wide Body is getting home around this time, so he's still amped up from the job.
Oh, yeah.
I'm up because, and I'm pretty sure you are as well, CX, is because it's just, this is the perfect time to create. It's quiet.
Yep.
And for me, I can't speak for anyone else. For me, when my mind is quiet, that's when I'm the most productive.
Right.
Because literally, I can just shut my brain off. Again, no matter what's going on in the background, I'm talking about, real life. If I got 2 hours where I don't have to think, I could just sit here and pull plugins up, chop samples, lay drums, whatever the situation may be, and it just works out. That's normally some of the best work I ever get done. Beautiful. Straight up.
I wanted to tell you this too. Y'all had a weekly homework assignment a while ago where y'all did the Bob James.
Yeah.
The Bob James jump.
Yeah.
And when I did that Uber Beats thing with Gadget, the video, that I did that Bob James flip because of that.
Really? That's what's up.
Because of that. I meant to tell you that.
That's what's up. Hey, I ain't gonna tell you, well, maybe I should tell you the amount of stuff that I do because of you. I mean, watching the both of y'all, man, because real talk, and I don't know if we've had this aspect of the discussion. The reason why there's a BBT Live and Late Night with Tasherre Risay right now is because I watched y'all. Like when the whole crew started putting stuff on Facebook and going live on Facebook and IG and whatnot, that inspired the hell out of me.
Right.
And that's when I was like, man, because for the longest, and I'm like, I was like some of the other people in the crew, like, I ain't going live. Man, please, my process is like this, and it's going to take forever for me to bake a beat, and it's going to suck, and blah, 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 blah. But I finally stepped out there and did those first couple of episodes, and everything went cool. And then I did a few more, and then suddenly I was like, well, I can flip this and turn this into, the whole demo joint. So, and here we are. I think I got 70 episodes of BBT Live, I think.
It's a lot. Damn, that's grind, bro. That's grind. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So thank y'all for that. That came from y'all two specifically, and Hertz.
That's dope, man. I mean, we thrive in off of each other.
Yes, sir.
Watching each other, and I will be honest with you, I was kind of disappointed when I ain't see those on YouTube no more. You know what I'm saying? I meant to.
Oh, you talking about the PBT?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. When I see you doing them Jones, man, I could be like just chilling in the bed watching something. Then that pops on. Then I'm like, I might not even touch the MPC or none of that stuff in a week or so. As soon as I see that, it be like, Oh man, I start working on a beat because I see you working on one. You know what I'm saying?
And see, y'all do crazy. The same thing for me, man. Y'all do the exact same thing for me. That's again, that's what's so dope. And I'm not even speaking on CMA. That's what's so dope about being like we could say that we have a community. Yeah, with Dirty Old Man, Scratch Man, however.
Absolutely.
There's a bunch of us who are like-minded. We're all musicians. We're all, for the most part, we're around the same age, and we love to create music.
Right.
And we're all dope.
Right. That's true.
We're all tired together.
The cool thing about it is, man, I for so long I've sat there and watched y'all, like I said, do y'all live shows, and that got me inspired to do my live show. And then you're telling me that I get you up to do beats, and it was the same thing watching your live streams. Like, man, let me pull out. Like, okay, matter of fact, you, Mental did one, Logic Bob did one. Who else? Grussel all did the Dollar Bin joints.
Right.
No problem.
I was making beats through those joints.
Yep.
Wow.
While y'all were making beats, I pulled the Push Out or Machine, whichever one I was working on that day, and I started working on beats. I got inspired. That's what it's all about. And that's what's really dope about having a community of like-minded individuals who y'all all, you may not make the same type of music or whatever, but if you respect each other, you like each other as people, but more importantly, if you're inspired by each other,
right.
That's what it's all about. And that's one of the main reasons why I created CMA, to bring it all back.
No doubt.
Well, let me speak on this before we get out of here in a little bit. I would say this, through CMA, the company you put together, the company you live and thrive to do every day, you have introduced me to some incredible brothers. If it wasn't for that, I probably would have never met none of these dudes. I never would have met Hertz. I never would have met Davenport. I never would have met Wallace. I would have never met none of them because of what you've been doing, and I'm serious. Like, even though I wasn't in CMA, it felt like I was in CMA because I was affiliated and close to all these dudes that are in CMA.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Sure. And maybe it's just me being a hard-headed dude or something like that, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to accomplish everything on a timely fashion like everybody else can.
Right.
Because that was my only thing that was stopping me, because I was like, man, I can't have Tasherre gangster leaning on me because I ain't kick out the homework, man. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what's so funny about you saying that? I get on people, and I think we've had this conversation. I get on people that's not a part of CMA because I don't see them putting anything out. Cats will get a text, a DM. They will get at it. Hey, man, where the hell is your project at, bro? Right. I ain't heard from you in a hot minute. What the hell's going on? I mean, I would say this, CMA, and I can say this now, being in year 6, having grown how I do things, having grown with membership and different type of people who are members, I understand what CMA is and what it should be now. I can finally say that now. Some people get the whole podcast thing, assignment thing. Some people get it. Some people don't, and that's fine. I wanted to do something where people kind of had structure, because structure has worked for me.
Right.
When I know for a fact I have a goal to get to, that's what gets me up and to make this video or whatever the situation may be. And that's one of the reasons why I came up with the whole WHA, is so people, we all grown people. We got wives and husbands and kids and jobs and mortgages and all this kind of stuff. We love to create music, but we may not actually have an idea of what kind of music we want to create. That was one of the reasons. That, along with being in a time constraint, because you never know. You mess around and Eminem, Jay, Nas, whoever get a whiff of you and give you a call. Yo, give me something in 7 days.
Right.
There's no alternative. You're not going to miss that opportunity. So that's the reason why having the time constraint.
Wow.
But just kind of giving people structure on, if they do want to create, this is what's available. But certain people don't need that. CX don't need that. Hertz don't need that. Hell, I could say Widebody doesn't need it, because even when he was over at CMA, he was doing assignments, turning them in, but he was still doing live streams where he was making 3 and 4 beats in one go, and
he was going
all
nuts.
kind of stuff.
He was going nuts, man. I was like, like me, Widebody, Hertz. We always talked outside of all of this, just like I talk to you at times outside of all of this, and every time Widebody, this when he was with CMA, he was like, man, I got to turn my project in, blah blah blah. He was always working on something, like always working, like he one of the hardest working dudes, man, like to juggle his time at work and at home and with this. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like that. I appreciate him for being that person. But you are absolutely right, man. That guy is, when he was in CMA, he was working hard, man. He was working. But I'm just saying, it's that's the WHA is for specific people. Some people need that, and I might be offending somebody here. I'm not trying to. Some people need church.
Yeah.
Other people do not.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, in the house of CMA, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Services on Sunday at 5:00.
Hey, let me ask you real quick. What's up? You've been in up for 6 years. Can you say how, as far as the content that and the assignments, the quality of them, have they changed drastically or slowly?
Hell yeah. They talking about what the results, what I get back?
Yes, the results. Good word.
Hell yeah. Dog. And major shout out to my brother Gadget. Get back to 100% straight up. Me coming in contact with Gadget, and that kind of brought both worlds together. Mm-hmm. The Scratch Mag and the CMA, and of course there was outside people that became, crew as well. But me connecting with Gadget, and when I was doing the show with y'all on Fridays, and that brought a lot of people to CMA. Mm-hmm. In that time, and that's been going on 3 years now, I think.
3 years, man. Yep.
So since then, that's when things really began to take off for the assignments and the podcast. We have gotten the best podcasts in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. And they seem to get better and better every year. For instance, shout out to my brother Mav, because Mav came through for an entire year. He murdered last year. He absolutely murdered when he was there, because again, I'll say the exact same thing that I just said. Widebody. Not only was Mav doing the assignments on a regular basis, and we do like 40 assignments per year. Mav easily had 30 last year. He didn't miss many. Not only did he do all of those, Mav kicked out how many projects last year?
Can't count on my hand.
Yeah, he kicked out a lot. He definitely kicked out a lot.
Right. Man. And then he was still like going out and doing some live gigs and, all other kind of stuff, man. And it's like, for anybody wondering, you can come and do a monthly thing or 6 month or 12 month. Mm-hmm. And Mav did a 12 month. And he was like at the end of that term, he was like, man, I don't know. I'm like, dog, you go and you do what you got to do. If it's anybody I know for a fact that's going to go out here and make it work, it's Mav.
Absolutely.
Mav came through. He hung out with us. He did some excellent work. He inspired a lot of people, myself included. And now I just watched his video on Vimeo. Are you serious? I know he's getting ready to go over to the UK. I think it's in the fall or something like that. Mm-hmm. It's like, that's how it was supposed to be. You could come and hang out and stay around if you like. Sure, of course. But if you come pick up what you need to pick up and then go on and you continue to make really dope music afterwards, and get into the industry and go exactly where everybody wants and should be going. That's what it's all about. Period.
Definitely.
So let's plug. Let's put some shameless plugs in, man.
Oh boy. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Put them in.
I was gonna say, so this is the reason why they even brought me here. ComputerMusicAcademy.com. Weekly homework assignment and podcast every Tuesday, live 8 p.m. EST. YouTube.com/ComputerMusicAcademy. As far as the other shows that I do, those are on my personal channel, YouTube.com/Tasherre Risay Music. Beats by Tasherre Live, the product demonstration show. That's on Saturday, 7 p.m. EST. Sometimes Sundays as well. Late night with Tasherre Risay. Sundays, normally Sundays at midnight. That's about it as far as the music stuff. And there's a lot more. A bunch of new tutorials and review videos that's going to be on the channel very soon. Been putting in some work.
What about your IG and your Twitters?
IG, Computer Music Academy, or personal Beats by Tasherre. Twitter, look me up on Twitter, Tasherre, Tasherre, or Computer Music AC. That's the CMA Twitter. I mean, you type in Tasherre or Computer Music Academy and you'll find me. It's pretty simple.
Damn right about that.
Well, buddy, you got anything else?
No, sir, man. It's been a great interview, man. It was great having you here, my brother.
Man, I appreciate y'all calling me, man. This is cool. I'm glad. I will say this. Let me say this before we part.
Absolutely.
It's so dope. First of all, for you, Wide Body, it's so dope because I remember when we first clicked up, and I was helping you out getting to talk that stuff off the ground.
Yes, sir.
And I see you out here now, still killing it. Now you got another show. You got another podcast.
You got a good brother, man. I appreciate all the help. As I always am grateful.
It's just what it's all about, man. It's just it's helping the people, man.
Truly am blessed, man. I really am, and I was saying, I'm gonna go back real quick, but inspiration, man. I'm surrounded by inspiration, and that drives all of us to just
real talk
to reach feats, man. I want to congratulate you on your success and continued success as well.
Man, thank you, appreciate it. And real quick, CX, man. I'm happy to see the brother out here doing something, man.
Yeah.
CX is the big brother, man. He's been out here for a minute. It is finally we get a chance to get those years of knowledge and experience, you know what I'm saying? Finally, that's getting put to work in this podcast and a couple other things I know you're doing. So
absolutely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Salute, bro.
Hey, man, you didn't told me 4 years ago that I'd be alongside this brother right here, man. Hey, man, I would have told you, you know what you're talking about, man. It's definitely an honor as well to be doing this project with him. You know what we do as far as the podcast is concerned. You know, all I see is big and better things ahead of us, and we'll keep on rolling and you know, letting people, you know, and one of the things is the youth, man. I hope the youth is checking this thing out too, man, because we basically is a blueprint, man. These kids want to get into production. I don't want them to learn to cut and paste. I want them to learn from cats like CX and yourself and all the other talent, you know, the talent pool that we're surrounded by. So
right, dude.
All right,
it keeps growing.
That's gonna do it for this episode of Master Channel. I am DJ Wide Body.
And I'm CX, the producer.
I want to thank the homie Tasherre Risay for coming out. Please make sure you check out
Appreciate you.
the weekly homework assignments Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Above other things, he has gave you all the information. So
yes, sir.
We'll say to you guys, peace. We'll see you next time. Salute.
Peace.
Salute.